Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Rebecca English says the Harry and Meghan saga took a terrible toll on the Queen. In the Daily Mail, English writes, "The finale to Harry and Meghan's modern-day Elizabethan revenge tragedy concludes with our hard-done-by Duchess reading out the speech she penned for her own wedding. What a happy coincidence that she miraculously managed to find it on her phone with the pressure of a Hollywood director being there. In it, she talks about the man I love and the way we met, telling viewers soothingly, let's call it a modern fairy tale. Well, there's no doubt who the hero and his princess bride are in this particular story, with entertainment mogul Tyler Perry, who lent the couple his private jet, home and security team without ever having met them, as the ultimate cash-splashing fairy godmother. And the villains? Step forward, the Prince and Princess of Wales, openly portrayed as the sneering and jealous ugly sisters, eaten up by envy of Meghan's success and conspiring with the evil media to secure her downfall. There's a scheming stepmother, naturally married to a rather hapless father figure, content to live in studied ignorance of his child's servitude in order to pursue a quiet life. And then there's the Queen, not wicked in this case, of course, but one who is actively portrayed by her own grandson as a weak figure, manipulated by her family and scheming courtiers. In a frighteningly venomous statement, Harry, who, let us not forget, survived 2 frontline tours in Afghanistan, says, "It was terrifying to have my brother scream and shout at me and have my father say things that simply weren't true, and my grandmother quietly sit there and sort of take it all in." English says, "I am told that although Her late Majesty was left devastated by her grandson's actions, she had no compunction in taking the tough decisions that needed to be made, whether that would be personally ruling out his participation in the official remembrance events or sidelining him to a bit part in her Platinum Jubilee. But it pained her, of course it did. She adored Harry, his mischievous humour, natural empathy and zest for life, and missed him desperately. In truth, she was actually very sympathetic to his and Meghan's desire to seek an alternative life, if that's what would make them happy, but the way in which the saga played out so acrimoniously was recently described to me as having taken a terrible toll on the Queen's well-being in recent years, leaving her feeling very low indeed at times. She even, I am told, confided in one friend that she was secretly glad Meghan hadn't been able to come to her beloved Philip's funeral last year, as she simply couldn't cope with the ensuing public drama, although she was fond of her granddaughter-in-law. In The Atlantic, Helen Lewis writes, "Sometimes the documentary's willingness to let Meghan and Harry complain at length almost feels cruel. After their wedding, Harry notes they lived in Kensington Palace. Well, Meghan corrects him, not in the palace, but on palace grounds. Nottingham Cottage was very small, with low ceilings on which Harry would bang his head. Sure, but it was also a beautiful house with a garden in the middle of ultra-prime London real estate." Shortly after this discussion, whether by unself-aware accident or sly sabotage by the production team, the documentary cuts back to the terrible 2017 Grenfell Tower fire, which killed dozens of people and left other residents living in hotels for 18 months. Meghan became a champion for the survivors, although hopefully she didn't try to bond with them by telling them, as she told the documentary crew, about Oprah's surprise at the modesty of their lodgings. These are the Meghan moments that make me wince. Another is a time unmentioned in this documentary, when she visited a charity for sex workers and wrote inspirational messages on bananas with a Sharpie. "You are loved." The shots of guided meditation and yoga here are no less cringeworthy. We also get the fact that a friend loaned them a private jet for their freedom flight out of Britain. The best kind of friend, one whom we've never met but who believes in us and wants to help. This turns out to be Tyler Perry. Yes, that Tyler Perry, famous for dressing up as his mother, who let them use his Los Angeles house for as long as they needed. The final shots are of the California sunshine, with Harry saying that he has lost friends but gained a new purpose because he had outgrown his old life and his old country. "My wife and I, we're moving on. We're focused on what's coming next. For all our sakes, let's hope so." Palace Intrigue will be right back. Page 6 spoke with Tyler Perry, who said, "I saw my mother be abused for years. I knew the symptoms. I knew what it was like. Meghan was afraid of the royal family destroying her, or going crazy, or them making her think she was crazy. To use the institution to try to do all the things a batterer would do, like we're going to cut off the money, we're not going to leave you security, we're going to do all those things to make you comply and come back. And for the both of them to have their wherewithal to say, I don't give a damn if it's the palace, I'm out of here. I applauded that. Tyler Perry is Lilibet's godfather. Sarah Vine, writing for the Daily Mail, says, "This week, having watched the final 3 episodes, I feel like a fool. More than that, I feel like I've been played, like we've all been played. The public, the press, the palace. Because not only is it clear that Harry is very far from a vulnerable individual, scarred by his trauma, but fundamentally well-meaning, I'd say that from the footage presented, the pair of them, Harry and Meghan, also planned all this right from the start." As for Harry, she says, "Don't be fooled by the adorable footage of him cuddling the dog or goofing around on holiday. On the basis of his behaviour in the documentary, the real Harry turns out to be rather a nasty piece of work." And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your favourite shows. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.